Hello, people. I did finish a book. Another one of these Boer War things. I said I wasn't going to finish this, but I had this one and I have one more. So, and this one ended up only being 150 pages. It's actually the regulation 200 pages, but the very end of it is like notable persons associated with the Boer War, and the print got super small. Like, you need a fucking magnifying glass to read it. So, even the last 25 pages, for some reason, it dropped to a smaller type. But I read the last 25. So it ended up, being 150 pages, which for me, that's a real quick read. That was like a 2.5 day read. 151 pages. This one was published in 1901, which answers my concerns about how the fuck did this guy write a 7-volume set in 1900 when the Boer War wasn't even over yet. I've got one more to read. This one had some pretty, this author is terrible. He's a jingoist, and it continued in this one. But I was able to whip through this thing. Normally I don't read the footnotes, but I read one. There was a big long footnote, tiny print, and I decided to read it, and it had to do with DeWitt, who led one of the larger commandos, and one of his, another commandant that was with DeWitt, who probably, they were grouped with their own men from their own area. This guy's name was Theron. So I said to myself, could that be Charlize Theron? Because I know that she's from South Africa. And a quick Google check, yes, she is the direct descendant of a guy that led a commando in the Boer War. His name was Daniel Theron. In this volume, Kruger sails away. The author tries to make it seem like Kruger is abandoning his country. Really, Kruger took off to avoid capture, and he took off to try and raise money, and he took off to try and get some European intervention, because this was a very unjust war. And I think what happened to Kruger is when he got to Holland, his health started failing, because I don't think he lived much longer. I don't think he lived more than a couple of years. The British go ahead and annex the Orange Free State and the Transvaal. There's your mind now. Page 143, 6th paragraph. Oh God, we're into the tiny print, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lord Kitchener now decided to evacuate all towns lying outside the line of communications, thus clearing the Boers' happy hunting grounds of lootable convoys. Large camps of Boer families under British protection were formed at Brantford and Kroonstad and elsewhere near the railway line. So, large camps under British protection is a euphemism for a concentration camp, because this war is where the term came from. And of course, whenever you cram people together, and the sanitation is bad, and the water is bad, you get disease, and then you have Boer women and children dying. And there was one more, page 146, where he says it again. It's kind of disgusting. Page 146, 3rd paragraph, middle. 1, 2, 3. There was little chance of a complete cessation of hostilities for a good time to come, for the Dutchmen were cunning, and having discovered that their wives and children were so humanely provided for, considered themselves free to keep the field with increased persistence. I mean, what can I say? They were not humanely provided for. They were stuck in the camps where, dysentery was the least of your worries. And the very last page, there's what we call an afterword here. Ah, yes. The author is opining on whether the Boer and the British will become great friends in the future. And you know what? Politics makes strange bedfellows because South African troops have fought for England, and I don't think they will continue to. I don't think it's a commonwealth anymore, but they did during the Second World War. But this is just an example of the crap that this guy writes. Uh, to maintain the avowed policy of the British nation, to establish British suzerainty, I'm not pronouncing that right, excuse me, from the Cape to the Zambezi, and make South Africa indisputably and forever one country under one flag, with one system of government, and that system the British. The lesson once taught, the vista will grow clear. Into the newly acquired territory will be introduced the true meaning of the word justice, of the phrase liberty and equality for all white men. Then slowly, by infinitesimal degrees, perhaps, but surely, will liberty and equality develop into fraternity. And no, I'm not making that up. He actually writes here, it's here in print, liberty and equality for all white men. And that is one of the, one of the British, the Boer War apologists will say, well, they had to invade those two nations because they treated the blacks so poorly. And I'm not going to dispute that. They did treat the blacks poorly, but the English were just as bad. It's like, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. I got one more of these to read, but I'm not going to read it right away. I got plenty of other good books sitting around. Thanks for watching.